Hi, I welcome you to another episode of Speak English Podcast. Today we will talk about phrasal verbs. Let's get started. Phrasal verbs are verbs that have two or three words. They are formed by a verb plus a particle. The particle looks like a preposition, but it doesn't function as a preposition. Let's continue. Particles change the meaning of a verb. Let's see an example by using the preposition up. He looked up at the sky. It means literally to look to the sky. Now let's use up as a particle. She looked up a word in her dictionary. In this case, looked up means to searched. Very good. And let's continue with transitive phrasal verbs. They have objects, and the object can be between the phrasal verb, that is, between the verb and the particle. Let's check some examples. Here we have one phrasal verb, call up. It means to make a phone call. For example, he called his boss up to tell him he had overslept. In this sentence, called up is a transitive phrasal verb. So, we can write the object his boss between the verb called and the particle up. But if we don't do that, it's okay too. He called up his boss to tell him he had overslept. But it is better to write it as in the first sentence. Well, let's continue with more examples. Call off, that means to cancel. Let's check an example. At the last minute, the bride cancelled the wedding off, or the bride cancelled off the wedding. But as I said, it is better to write it like I have it here in this example. Now let's continue with an important rule. When the object is a pronoun, it must come between the verb and the particle. For example, a friend called her up at work, or a friend called up her at work. The correct sentence is the first one, because we have to follow the rule. Her is a pronoun, so we must write it between the verb and the particle. Called, the verb, her, pronoun, and up, the particle. Very good. Now, let's talk about intransitive phrasal verbs. They don't have objects and are inseparable. That is, we can put anything between the verb and the particle. Let's see some examples. Grow up. It's a phrasal verb that means to become older or an adult. For example, Tom grew up in Egypt. Very good. We can't say Tom grew in Egypt up. No, it is not correct. Let's continue with more examples. Hang up. It means to finish talking on the phone. For example, she will hang up before she gets into the car. Very good. Some phrasal verbs can be transitive and intransitive. Let's check an example. Make up is a phrasal verb. Make up transitive means to invent. For example, Thomas made up a story about Jill and Joe. Let's continue. Make up intransitive means to become friends again after an argument. For example, they made up. They were friends again. Very good. Now let's talk about requests and responses. We always use will to answer. Let's check some examples. Again, we have a phrasal verb, turn down. It means to decrease the level of sound, heat, etc. that a device is producing. Let's check the example. Someone says, please turn down the music. And I answer, okay, I will turn it down. As we can say, I am using will in the answer and turn it down because it is a pronoun. Very good. Another example. Put away. It means to move something back to the place it is usually kept. For example, someone says, put your books away, please. And I answer, all right, I'll put them away. Let's remember that I'll is a contraction of I will, and them is a pronoun. So we have to put it between the verb put and the particle away. Excellent. Well done. And that's all for today, guys. Thank you very much. Please leave a like and a comment, subscribe to Speak English. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.